How marvelous that several months ago, Mrs. Candeto asked if she might be able to give her testimony. And I said, sure, we'll have you give your testimony. And so today is the day. Last Wednesday, I had the opportunity to talk with Mrs. Candeto in my office. And at the end of it, I said, I've never had a more courageous conversation in my office. Because we talked about a lot of reality. Mrs. Candeto is here today because there's a crisis in her life. You may not believe the apostle, or you may not believe John the Baptist, and what he did. You might say, well, that's in the pages of Scripture. Or you might say, well, those other disciples, that was then. But I'm here to tell you today, a real-life saint, one who is enduring a crisis, has already asked, are you the one? And resolved in the depths of her heart and soul that Jesus is the one to be expected who has come. And like John the Baptist, and like the original 12 disciples, Mrs. Candeto has preferred to be with Jesus. And so she is here this morning to talk to us in the same tradition as John the Baptist and of the disciples. Mrs. Candeto.
Good morning. The first thing you probably noticed when I came up here was that I had a little help. I never expected at 52 to be walking around with a walker. The walker's my best friend. It keeps me from falling. It keeps me steady. And it's something that helps me when I get in cars, when I get out of cars, and things like that. Last week I was diagnosed with an incurable brain disease. Something that makes you not walk right, makes you not talk right, makes you look and not see anything. But I don't think there's anything I can do about it. So I'll just wait and see what happens. I did want to spend this time telling you about a couple of things that I've been thinking about. First, I'd like to let you know that my parents are here in chapel with us this morning, and I'm thrilled that they're here. They're not in town very often, and it's a pleasure to have them here. And my children, Caroline, who is from Chicago. It also makes your brain not work so well. And John and his wife, Carrie Beth, who are from Singapore, is here today, and Steve and Lucy. So I'm happy to see everybody here this morning. And Larry. My brother-in-law, Larry, is here too. It's very unusual for me to be speaking in chapel. I don't really feel like I have a good thing to say. But for years, I've prayed that I would have a message to give in chapel. And it came this year. So I'm happy to be here. I'm going to speak about an individual's relationship with God, your personal relationship with God. I think all of you know that God has plans for your life. Plans that you don't know anything about, plans that you can't do anything about. In our family, in 1996, God's plan was to take away my husband. And that wasn't a very good plan, according to us, but God is sovereign, so we went along with it. And He's blessed us in the time that we've had with Steve gone. His death was very unexpected. He died in a car crash. He was a very good driver. It was really hard to get through that time, but it wasn't impossible. And I was grateful that it wasn't impossible. The event gave us a chance to practice leaning on other people. I'm not a very good leaner. I had to practice a lot. But I after practice, and we had many, many friends come in and take time with us and do things for us and love us and all the things that you would hope someone would do if you had a crisis in your family. We had the opportunity to lean on God when my husband died. You might think that you know how to lean on God. Well, maybe you do know how to do that. But you don't know how to do that really until God gives you a chance to do it. And I encourage you in any major or minor situation that you're in to lean on Him. Because I found that no matter how big the crisis was, God was bigger. And He was able to take care of everything that we needed. I have 4 children. He provided for all 4 children. He provided family in town, like Uncle Larry. And we've been very blessed as a family ever since 1996. I can't say that we've had a terrible time, because we haven't had a terrible time. You'll have to forgive me, because one of the sidebars of the brain disease I have is that you can't think, which is a little bit of a problem. Last week when I was diagnosed with a rare incurable brain disease, I found out that I really couldn't think. So I have to rely on God to give me the thoughts that I need to say. The disease that I have affects my memory, my movement, and my ability to express myself. I can't remember anything. I can't go anywhere, and I have a hard time saying what I want to say. But I'm thankful, and I'm just going to wait however long it takes. He'll provide that. I have a lot of people who are helping me through this. And it's a wonderful blessing. People who come and help at my house, and do laundry and wash dishes, and people who bring meals to us. It's amazing how many ways you can help someone who has a problem when they need it. You might not even be able to think of something, but if you pray about it, God will give you an idea of something you can do for that person or that family, and that's a wonderful blessing to them. We've had some things like people come to the house and pray. We've had other people come to the house and cook and do things in the yard to help clean things up. We've had a lot of cards and flowers. Actually, my house looks like a florist because there's so many cards and so many flowers. But I like flowers, so I don't mind that. And instead of thinking about ourselves, we really should learn to think about other people and serve other people. Because there are lots and lots of ways to serve others. There are ways to serve people that are sitting right beside you, and you may not know it. All you have to do is ask or pay attention. That's important. We don't know the timing of death, but there's no reason for us to be afraid of death or to dwell on it. I'm probably going to die pretty soon. It's about a year long, maybe not quite a year, and that's it. And that's okay with me. I want to have a chance to see my children grow up, but I won't. I'd love to have a chance to see more of them get married, but I probably won't. But God knows that He can take care of all those things, whether I see them from here or from here. I'll be able to see. Sometimes you might be able to have a special blessing for somebody. You might think that you can't do anything for somebody. But if you think about it and if you pray about it, God will give you a way to bless another person. If it's just going to talk to them, if it's taking their hands when they're shaking out of control, if it's being a friend to somebody who doesn't have a friend, all of those are ways that you can bless other people. And God expects us to do that. He doesn't just think you should go through life and do what you want to do. We're supposed to do the things that we need to. Another problem with the disease that I have is that I can't read. Well, I can read, but it's all over the place. So it takes me a minute to check my notes. When it comes to death, there's no reason to dwell on death or to be afraid of it, because death is something that happens with everybody, no matter what. Maybe the time frame for my death is a little bit shorter than it was going to be, but that doesn't mean that I have to be miserable about it, or I have to go around telling everybody about it. It just means that I have to work a little bit faster to do the things that I want to do to accomplish the purposes that I have here on earth, before I have to go. If you didn't anticipate death, your faith would be lost. The whole key point of your faith is that you know what's going to happen when you die, and you know where you're going to go, and you don't have to worry about it. And as a kid, that's pretty hard, because none of us like to think about that. But it is something that you should think about periodically, because you don't realize when something's going to happen in your life that will cause you to go to those places that you don't want to go. You may have someone in your family who gets critically ill. You may be standing outside and watch someone get hit by a car. There are all kinds of things that can happen, and those are all the kinds of things that God prepares us for by giving us faith and by telling us that He's going to be there all the time, no matter what. All we have to do is call on Him. It's good if you remember calling Him, but even if you don't, He'll prompt you, and He'll give you an opportunity to do that. One thing that's really important, I think it's really important, is to be a blessing to other people in your life. Everybody can be a blessing to somebody. You can be a friend to them. You can smile at them. You can go and talk to people who aren't being talked to. You can do whatever you need to do. And I see some of my dearest friends in the audience today, and that's a blessing to me. Because when you come close to somebody when they're having a hard time, that blesses them dearly. Now, the other problem is you can't focus. So you have to pay extra attention and see where I am. When you get to the end of your life, sometimes people think it's a very scary thing to talk about death. I had to talk about death early on in 1996 when my husband was killed in a car wreck. I wasn't ready. I didn't want to, but I had to. It wasn't so bad. You just have to get used to the idea. You have to know that God is in charge of everything that's going on in life, and that He will take care of you and control everything that's going on in your life. I found that to be 100% true. When my husband died in a car wreck, I was left a single mom with 4 small children. No job, no way to do anything, just by myself. But it wasn't a tragedy. Actually, it was a wonderful blessing, because it gave me a chance to meet people who would come to my house and do things for me or bring things to me. It gave me a chance to be a blessing to other people when I was able to say thank you to them and invite them in and let them know what it meant to me to have someone take time to be a blessing.